And welcome once again. I am the database guy. I'm glad you're joining me. Please like and subscribe as always. These presentations are given to you absolutely free to help you and to improve your ability to design as a developer databases using Microsoft Access as a front end, um, and even as a back end or SQL Server as a back end. There's a plethora of things you can do. We're in our video for presentation 4 because we are still into tables at this point. And I want to take just a moment to move back for a second. Do we need table relationships is a question. And what is the purpose basically of those relationships? So going back into our database we had left off with, which is here. I'm just going to open up my navigating my navigational pane, which is here. So I'm going to hide, and again, I showed you how to show your hidden things and your system objects. We're going to hide them back down just to leave the ones we need. So in our relationships here, as we see, and to get to that again, if you don't remember, I'm going to close this and open it back up. Database tools and relationships. And under relationship design, you can have things like edit it. Let's see. Yeah, you'll have to select a relationship to edit, I believe. So I select that one and hit edit. It's going to bring me into the one I'm interested in. And then, of course, clear layout, relationship report, um, and so on. Or all relationships, let's see here, does nothing. Let's look at the report, though. And the report will show you this nice printout of what you would expect to see. If we go to landscape, which is really what you'd want, we see all of our relationships here. So I'm just going to close that for a moment. Actually, the report is even here. I'm going to close that. No, I don't want to save it. If I did, it would appear here. All right, and it does not. So we're going to go to all access objects. All right, so showing our queries and our tables. Anyway, what would happen if we didn't have a relationship here? Well, we wouldn't be able to force you to, and in this case, looking at publishers, to select a publisher that already exists. We wouldn't be forcing that issue. If I delete that relationship, as you saw before, I could enter whatever I wanted for the publisher number. There's no restriction, which is why we create that relationship. We're saying, look, you've got to select whatever publishers exist, no more, no less. So it provides a restriction to make sure that data entry is specific. Now, if I didn't have the relationship, let's say, I deleted it, could I force the same issue? And the answer is yes. What you do is when a user wants to select a particular publisher, you will fill up the publisher's or the record source for the publisher. We saw that in here. I'm going to just go to table books and show you again. In design view, we saw that here when we went to our lookup table. And again, you wouldn't use this. And you would set the table here as table publisher. And then 2 columns because you need to see 2, and then of course 0, 1. I want you to keep this in mind because you're really not going to do that here. You are going to do it in the forms. And what happens is now you can select from the publishers that are in that table. All right, you restrict that in a way. But so it is possible to do that. And we're going to see an example here today where we don't have a relationship and where we indeed will create a new table. So what I'm going to do right now to really establish this, and I'm going to go into here and into design view, and we're going to have a street or address. We'll call it address. Boy. All right. That'll be a short text, and then we'll say field city, and field state, and that we're not going to have as, well, we can leave that. And then field zip for our zip code, right? And that could be, we could leave it as either a text or a number, quite honestly. Usually zip code's a number, right? So obviously if you want to have a publisher in there, the address, the city, the state, and the zip. Save it up here. I'm going to open this up here and go to, and actually always show it, and go to view. Now you see here, I could type in whatever I want, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to expand this here. I'm going to create another table, by the way. Okay. And that table SID is an auto number, and fields state the short text. And what I'm going to do is make this my primary key. Yes, and this will be table states. Just see if I got that right. Okay. So we're going to bring in table states to here as well. Now, I don't have to link anything here. In this instance here, I have an option. I can create a foreign key if I want, but I don't need to. All right. And the importance of that is, we're going to save this for a moment. We're going to open up states, and we're going to now put in the states that are here. We're going to try CA for California, NY for New York, NJ for New Jersey, and well, let's try another one. MA for Massachusetts, and FL for Florida. And we're going to do TX for Texas. Okay. So what we're going to do here is go into this table design, and we're going to go to state. We're going to go to our lookup table again. Remember that one? We're going to go to combo to show you what it looks like again in the front end. You wouldn't do this in a back end. Here, this is going to be table states. Column count is 2, and 0, 1. All right. Save it. Come to view. And now, as we see here, okay, and they happen to be in order. Well, they don't actually are in order. They aren't really in order, so that's something else I want to show you too while I'm here. They aren't in order. I should take that back. But I'm going to come to my states here, to my lookup, and I am going to, now I'm just doing my record source here as the table. If I click the 3 ellipses here, you're going to invoke the query builder. So I'm going to bring in the 2 of these, as I would in a query. You're basically in a query builder, just so you know that. And we're going to do the sort ascending on the states. And we're going to save that. Now we could save the query as, let's do it, just so you can see the effect. We don't have to, but if we do, yes we do, notice query states becomes the row sorts, not the table. And if I go into query states here, you will notice they're all in alphabetical order, right? Well, now when I come into, I want to save it, sure. I have to save it first. Now when I come into this here, they're in alphabetical order. So there are 3 ways to have a record source. You only saw 2 of them. One of them, and you'll see it, is instead of saving the query, leave it as a structured query language. I don't recommend that because it takes up a lot of space, and then to run, it has to sort of run in the background. Either it's going to be a table or a query. That's going to be your row source for this. So anyway, let's see. Address for publisher 1, 1313 Mockingbird Lane. Golan Heights. One of these, not real ones, of course. State, we're going to say California, because we're going to actually select it. I could have selected what I wanted, right? But California, and then, of course, here, 09996, let's say, all right? And it goes in, okay? So I have now some more data indicating what my publisher is. We're going to do something here, 1111. Run around mill, and city will be Tampa. State will be, we can type it in with F, just typing a letter in, Florida, and 20322. I don't know what the real one is, so I'm not going to care. All right. And, all right. And this publisher 3 here, we'll have it at 900 Sun Lane. I don't know. And let's see. Oh, city. Austin, we'll say. It could be a real city, and we don't care. We're not pointing to anything real. Texas, and all right. So there we have it, and we've added our data in there. Now, here's the thing. Going back to our relationships, I have not forced the issue. In other words, and the reason being is because I'm saving the data actually as, in this case, so if I close down this here, I'm actually saving it as what's an address, a city, of course a state, and a zip. Now the state's only 2 characters long anyway. So for me to put a foreign key in there and reduce it to 1 character, I haven't gained much. All right, and the other side of it too is I'm using it as an ancillary table. Okay, I am. Yes, I do want to save the changes on it. Now, that being said, let's go to our query. Let's see, books here. And in this query, all right, we have these tables. So if I wanted to bring in my, not my states, well, here's the thing too. Because I have a relationship with the table books with the publisher, there's no issue with bringing the data into it, all right? So let's get the address. Whoops, oh, I duplicated it. We can delete it. You can put in more than one, but it will show you that it's an era, city, state, zip, and I think that's it. Yes, it is. So in this case here, already have a relationship established. This data should be fine, and it is. As you can see, where the publisher is located. Now, to put it in books as a replicate doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, right? You would have to have that in some sort of sub report, if you will, or you could have it. Again, it's crossing it here. It's saying whatever entries have that publisher will have that address. So it's correct, but it's giving me a lot of information that I may not need. Now, I can't even group this if I want to because, go back to view. If I do, right, it's still going to split it based upon title, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to close this and save it. We'll create another query. I know we're not in queries, but we've been doing them. We're going to bring in, let's see, table, publisher, and table states. And what we're going to do here is connect the state here to here. And we're going to bring in the publisher, the address, the city, and the state, and the zip. What do you suppose is going to happen? Let's see. Theory, it should give us everything we want. We get nothing. We get nothing. All right? Because let's, for example, take out the states table, leaving this, and let's see now what we get. So we get the publishers and their cities and their states. We're going to go and bring it back in again. So we're going to bring in our states again. And we're going to connect this to this. Should be state. Let's see what happens now. We get nothing. So what's going on here? Well, it's looking to match the state it sees here with what it sees here. And we're going to go to our, and again, you can do that by going to our join properties. It's looking for where they both match, where the records match. Let's try it with include all records from query states. Oh, I'm sorry, it's query states. We don't want that. We want table states. So let's see here. We'll bring that in. Try it with that. It probably won't work anyway. And we're going to bring this one in. Let's see. Nothing. Okay, so I expected nothing on that one. But what we're going to do here is we're going to try this join, include all records from table states and only those in table pub, where the joins, well, this is what we call a left join. Let's see what happens here. And we pick up the states, but we don't pick up anything here. All right, it's finding the states that are within these records. Let's try reversing it for a moment. Here, looking here where they're all equal, and let's see what happens. Here, we're good. All right, here we're good. At least in terms of we're looking at what's here and match. So we have 3 of them that match 3 states here. So the question may be, why is it that here we see nothing? All right, what it's looking at here is it's trying to find a place where the joins are equal for state. And let's see something here. We're going to bring in the other one. And again, nothing, right? Nothing. So reason being is because the data is already right here. I don't have to look at the states table to create that join. I don't have to do that. It's already in here. So if I want to look and match them, all right, in here, and bring in the states table. Now if I do this, let's see what happens. Here's where we're going to cross them like crazy. Remember we saw this? So for each entry in the publisher's table, we're going to cross it with a state. So we have 18 here, which means we have, if we look at that, we should have 3 publishers times 6 states, which is exactly what we should have, but this is not a correct query. So we're going to bring this back in again. And run it one more time, and you're going to see it's going to cross it even without the other state information in there. I'm just going to put the state in there. All right, and you're going to see it cross it again. See, so here, Florida, Texas, California, and it's crossing it with everything, which is not correct. So what's the takeaway here? Takeaway here is if you have, a second, whoops, sorry. If you have if you have data already in here, there's no reason to connect them or to have a relationship. You already have the data there, right? Now, what if I wanted to see, let's go to view again. What if I wanted to see all of the states where there are publishers? I couldn't do it. I have no relationship. Nothing matches, right? Well, let's see something for a minute. Let us create that relationship. Let's see what happens if we do. Notice it's indeterminate. I don't have a primary key. All right. It may not even let me create all of them. I don't think it will. No, it won't. There's no unique, so I can't have referential integrity. But I could create it here and save it. All right. So it's an indeterminate. I don't have the ability, hang on a moment, to, because I don't have a primary key. So if I try to do this, doesn't like it at all. Okay. We're going to save it. All right, now let us see what happens. You notice when I brought it in, the relationship is already established. Let's run it without doing anything. We get nothing. All right, we get nothing. We take it off this table, and we get something. We get what we're supposed to get. So here is a true indeterminate relationship, and and let me get it onto this. I got to get it right. Nope. A little tricky on this one. There it is. So we're going to delete that. Yes, we're going to delete that relationship, save it. Because it doesn't help us at all. We're basically saying we're going to connect two fields that are the same. And we should be able to have data within them to allow us to find what is in the table. We don't need that. Because we can find it here. And if I wanted just everything from Florida in this query over here, I could simply make my criteria that. And so if I go to view it, okay, so I didn't get it. Let me see. Let's do a like and a wildcard. Let's try now. No, nothing. All right, let's go back. Maybe I'm spelling Florida wrong as the state. Let's try it again. FL, capital FL. So criteria should be FL. And I should get that state in there. And I'm not. Let's try California. No dice. All right. So let's see if I can do a like. And wildcard. Nothing. So why? Why will it do that? Let's see. Let's go back to our table states here. Looks fine. Hmm. Let us try to criteria pub1. See if we get that. We do. We do. Okay. So maybe in my criteria, let's look at something else while we're here. We'll go back to view. Let's see if we can edit this. Not in the list. Won't like it. And that may be a reason why it's That may be a reason, in fact, why. We're going to close this. We're going to close this for a minute and just save this one as query test. Probably because I have that field in there. Let's go to Publisher, Design View. Let's take that out under Lookup. Let's make it a text box. Because really it would be that. You would only have it in the graphic user interface. And let's go back to Query Test. And now you see what's happened. It's picking up 5, 6, and 1. And that's why I can't filter by state. So we're going to go back. And this is what I did, which I'm thinking along the lines of, not state, but publisher, along the lines of, let's see, combo. And we're going to pick that query again, query states. But we got to be careful here. Our bound column is not going to be 1. It's going to be the state, which is 2. Our column count can be 1, and the column width could be 1. So we're going to save that, and we're going to go to View. And here, let's see. Now it's not giving me the right things here. It's giving me the number on here. So we're going to, let's see, 2. We're going to have a column count of 2. And 0, 1. We're going to have both in there. Save it, view it. Let's see. There we go. So I'm going to do this one, Tampa, Florida, and this one here, Austin, Texas, and Golan Heights, California. Right. Go to Design View. We're going to take out the lookup now. Now that's why we were not able to filter under our, save the table, fine. And you see here now our state is a text. Not what we thought it would be. It's a text, not a value. So in other words, when I select setting up that one, I'm selecting the actual state. Now we go to query test. Same thing, no change. Now we do state Florida as we had. Oop, not that. Nope. Criteria FL. All right, there we go. View it, and let's see, and there we go. All right, because now what happened was we had been, as we had been with a foreign key, sourcing the value. So in query states here, we don't even need that. Now let's see what will happen. No, I don't want to save that. We're going to take out in this query here. I'm going to take out, let's test, I'm sorry, wrong one. And states is the one I want. So we're going to go to view. We're going to take this out here. We don't even need this, believe it or not, because we have no use for it. It won't work at all. We'll view it and we'll see the states. Now we go to publishers here and we go to design view. We're going to go to state again. We're going to change our lookup to a combo. We are going to use query states. We should be bound at 1. We should be a column count 1, and column width should be 1 as well. Let's take a view on that. Yes, we do want to save it, and let's see what happens. And there it is, as you see. So I could have a new publisher, pub 4, 110, 1010 Main Street, whatever that is. And Buffalo. And we're going to put the N in, but we're going to get New Jersey if we put the N in, so we got to select New York, unless we type both in. And we're going to have 10210. Right, so We go to query test again here, and as you see, pub4 comes up with that information as well. And so what have we learned here? We've learned that we don't need to have a relationship here. We don't need to do that. In design view here, we only need to have the data we're sourcing out. We don't need to create a relationship between the states table, and the states table is truly an auxiliary table. It's used for reference only. If I wanted to, for example, let's make a change here and make this one New York and make this one New York, New York, or New York City, right? All right, so we come back to our test here, and what we do here is we look for in our state and Y, and we run it. You'll be able to pull out the information just by searching a query, right? So that's a way of approaching it rather than having the relationship. The relationship does nothing for you, even if you create it. Now, some cases you can create relationships when there are none between tables. Okay, so I hope that really has hammered that home for you. Yeah, we're going to save that. We're going to leave that. And this one here, again, you can just simply search. And what would happen would be there'd be some sort of search capability where it would put a value in here. You're going to see that later. I'm not going to show it to you now. Let's go back to our presentation. So the purpose of the relationships is to establish or to force, basically, a condition. And if you don't have them, that's fine. You can still search data without them, or you can create them in your queries to establish them. All right. But what you have to do, and remember, is that you have to, if you're establishing relationships, do it with primary key to a value that's equal to it in another table. If you do two values that are equal, which are indeterminate, it's going to have a problem sourcing or bringing the data into your query to be seen because you really don't need it. So if you don't have them, you can create them or connect data. You can do that, but you may not need them at all. So we're going to look into this a little bit more when we get into queries, and you can see the differences. And again, these are in structured query language. The other side of it too is you remember, as you begin to group things and as you begin to do things in Access. So for example, query test over here. So if I do the grouping here and I run the view, all right, let's see here. I cannot update because I'm grouped. And I'm not going to save that. No. So that's one restriction to updating a record set. All right. Now, on the external data side, we talked about external data, linking data. The first one you saw was Access. Let's go in, and under external data, you have new data sources, and you have from file, or from datasheet, database, from online services, and of course from other. We did databases, we did Access. And we showed how to link a table with Access. Do it one more time. Use the link, because otherwise we're going to put it into a new table if we don't. And when you're setting up your front end, this is what you would do. So we will go to, let's see, right here. And, okay, and it's going to bring up the table of things. And I'm going to bring books and pub. And remember what happened before. It names it with an additional value because we can't have replicate values in there. We can't do that. You can't name a table with the same name. I'm going to prove it. Let's rename here. And let's try books 1 and see what happens. Can't do it. Name already exists. So that's why when we do this linking, it says, oh, I see them. I'm going to rename them automatically. Yeah, delete them. So that is under databases, access. Now from SQL Server, you could do it here. You could do import. Usually you link. Again, for your back end, you look at you have either file data sources or machine. I typically go with machine. This is one of them right here. Click OK. It's going to give me my login, and let's see if I can get it right here. And I do. I know I can select what tables I want to link. Click OK, and I'm off. Now, typically, I don't do this from here when I'm connecting SQL Server. You can do from Azure. I had a client, excuse me, doing one from an old, doing one from an old database type file, and he wanted to bring data in, and I thought it was ridiculous, but I did it for him, and I provided him with the import capability. Realistically, you should bring that data into Access, into your new schema, so you can have access to it. But any event, this one here is sort of in the same way as Access. You link, find the file type, and bring the data in. Other online sources, you can have Dataverse, SharePoint, and Data Services. There are 3 of them. I don't know about these. If you do, that's quite all right. People are now using Dataverse. It's very popular. SharePoint is also very popular. You need to specify the SharePoint site and so on. It'll get the data from there. And then the other sources. Here's the ODBC. Now, Outlook you wouldn't want to be bothered with. And I would link it because it's really an ODB source on this database, or rather this computer. Badger again would be the one, and then of course I would put in the password that I know. Oop. And it works. And I would select wherever I want it. Now, I'm going to type in here ODBC. Whoops, sorry. ODBC. I have a 64-bit system. Whoops, I'm sorry. That's not what I wanted. Here it is. 64-bit. No. ODBC. Come on. There it is. We're going to open this. And you're going to see that's one of my ODB. It's an ODBC driver for 17 for SQL Server. You can create your ODB sources here, but you need them to connect with SQL Server. So what's going to happen is you could have gone the SQL Server route, as I said, from here. Sorry. Nope. Database. Yes. From SQL Server here. And the problem that I had with that one for this particular database was that it didn't want to connect properly with a straight SQL Server connection. So I had to go to ODBC, create it with that one you saw there, which was this. Can be 3264, but this is this driver 17 for SQL Server. All right. So with that, that is certainly one way to go about doing it. Now we go back to the file, and this one here again. If you're bringing something in from a database, you want to be certain that that data is structured as you would have in your current database. You do not want to bring it in and create awkwardness or non-normalization in your current schema. Right? That's going to be real nasty. So what we're going to look at here, and Excel is not a database. I told you that from the very beginning. It isn't. But I know of clients who have asked me to bring Excel into, or an Excel file, uh, you can either do one of three things. I have one client that appends to a certain file. She imports the data from Excel and appends it, and what happens is she's not really appending it to the table. She's working with a temp table. And this is the importance of temp tables. The data would be appended into a temp table. There would be some work performed on it with code. And once it's satisfactory, it would then be, or actually say imported into the temp table, not appended, but imported into the temp table. Work is done on it. Once it's satisfactory, it will be appended into the main table. Then that's where it goes. And when you do this, I have it checking the file names to make sure that you can't do it more than once. Because if you attempt to do it more than once, you will append, or you will import and then append duplicate data. And you don't want that. Nobody wants that at all, right? So that's interesting. Now, the three options you have is to link, which you really wouldn't want to link a CSV. Again, it's or Excel rather. I'm sorry, it's not a database. Appending it, you might want to sort through the data, work on it in a temp table, and then append it to your main table. That's a possibility. I had one client who wanted to bring in Excel files, append it to the main table in a certain way where it was more normalized, and then they could use that data. Um, and that was a guy who was in a company that would build. Uh, he'd get orders in to build things, and he had parts, and he would need to know what parts to assemble, but based upon the order. So the order would come in, we'd know what parts you would need, you'd source out your inventory, and so on. Importing the source data into a new table in the current database. No, you don't want to do that either. And now, one other thing about importing data, if you don't have it structured properly, if you get errors, you're going to get tables that are error tables showing you what those errors are. So you really have to hash out the import methodology. I'm not going to show you that now. That comes later because there's a way of making sure your data is correct when it's imported. When I hit cancel here, I'll file again. I wouldn't use a HTML document. That is a web page of sorts, and I wouldn't use an extensible markup language file. That's XML. You could, right? I could import into my database here, and this one here, it will be imported into a new table. There's no choice on this one. We will not import table relationships, calculated columns, and so on. But what you would do is if I had, let's say, and I'm going to show you that in a moment, but my custom ribbon is extensible markup language, XML. If I wanted to import one from one table to another, this is what I would do. Haven't done it, but this is what I would do. And now text file is the CSV file. And you're going to have a client here that does the same thing. Not only Excel, but CSV she's going to import. She brings it into a temp table, performs some work on it, and then appends it to the main table. All right. So there's a lot of things you can do, but the forewarning is, and I've seen people link SQL Server tables, not as main tables, but as data to be accessed. And here's a warning that you must know. When you go into your database and you have a backend that's SQL Server, you're going to refresh that when you open it. It's ready, it's current. It's always current. And you're storing that data in those tables. But when you have SQL Server tables or other tables outside, mostly SQL Server, but outside of your main tables. So in this case, people wanted to import languages and stuff like that in SQL Server and use them or other information. You have to run a refresh of those tables during your existence of keeping your database open. If you do not refresh that, you may not have the current data. And that's the big danger with that. And I had advised one client, look, you can do this, but there's no guarantee you're dealing with the latest data. If somebody makes a change to the data that is in SQL Server, you may not have the current data because you're not connecting your main table, or you're not putting data into it, you're just accessing reference data. So you would have to have something in your database that would refresh those tables at given intervals to make sure you have the latest data. So big forewarning on that one. And let's see. Yeah, that follows up with that. Now, let's see if I can show you. Let's see. See if I can get it to open up. Good. Okay. So this was a database I created called CIRAD. It's mine, so don't worry about it. I am going to right click on here, navigation options, show hidden. Let's see what happens. Nothing, right? That's fine. Navigation options, and we're going to show system. There we go. So you're going to see, and I don't see it on this one. May not be the right one. Okay. So I'm going to just hide it again. Got to find the right one for you. Let's try. I know I had it open before. Whoa. Um, hmm, not the Badger. Is it the Badger? Actually, it is this one. Yeah, it is this one. It is this one. Let's see. Um, all right, it is this one. We're not going to enable the content here, but I did do it with CIRAD. I don't know why I'm not seeing it in that one. Navigation options. Let's show the hidden objects again. Nothing. And let's show the system objects. Okay, there we go. So we're seeing stuff here we shouldn't touch, but over here, here's one and here's two. And this is extensible markup language. This creates a custom ribbon that runs for this database. Now I can't do this because I'm not connected to the back end in the right location. All right. So if I go to, let's see, this BE Connect, yeah, I don't have this correctly connecting, but in any event, this here is, these are portable network graphics for my images for my custom ribbon. I will show you that at another time and how it runs. And this is the extensible markup language that's in there. I'm no longer using this. The individual did not want this, but you see here that these are these system tables that aren't normally seen. We don't want anybody to see them. The other ones you see here, let's see, has relationships in here, but again, you're not going to touch this stuff or you will really harm your database. Let's see, my system objects, let's see there, we got a whole bunch of objects here, and we're not going to touch this stuff either. But as I say, when you, and we're going to do this here again, when you show system objects, you are showing those tables which are hidden and which run the ribbon. And it's an interesting thing to run a ribbon because it's challenging. Sorry about that. It is challenging. When we come back, I think we're going to go to one last video here on tables, but I'll think about it. Please like and subscribe, and as always, keep it here with me. So we've done a lot of work on tables. We've learned a lot about them, what they are, what they can do, how they can help us. And I think the best way to go here is to show you as we go the usage of some of these tables. I can't do it all in one shot, but I'd like one more video to close us out before we get into queries. And we have learned a lot about queries, by the way. Very interesting stuff. So anyway, keep it here. I am the database guy. This is the Access SQL Server course in development of databases with MS Access frontend and backend, or MS Access frontend and SQL Server backend. It's really a lot of fun for me. So we are basically here. We want to do one more video. And wherever you are, have a great day, great evening, great morning, great life. Take care.